Hey there, welcome back. My name is Katie if you're new to my channel, and this is Louisiana Cooking and Living. And I'm excited today because this is the first episode, I guess, or video in a canning collaboration that, let me get her name correct, Barbara Sue from Kowalski Mountain. She organized this canning collaboration. It's the hashtag Canuary instead of January. So every Saturday this month, we will have canning videos, things that you can get some ideas on what you'd like to can maybe, and can along with us and get some stores in your pantry going forward, and maybe things like during the summer if you have a garden that you can, or just, you know, kind of get your feet wet. And so in the description box, we'll have a list of other participating channels that will be canning things throughout January. So one thing I want to share with you guys is my husband for Christmas, along with my father-in-law, built me, I was just going to apologize for my voice now. I had a cough about 3 weeks ago. It started, and I kind of lost my voice, and it's just now coming back. So that's why it kind of sounds funny. Anyway, so for Christmas, my husband built me some canning shelves for my pantry, and I'm going to give y'all a little video of that. So let's look at my pantry. I'm so excited. So these are the shelves. I told him, I said he must have high hopes in my gardening and canning abilities, and because he built all this for me. So we already have some things on the shelf, things that we've canned together, and things maybe I did before I was doing my videos. So here I have some enchilada sauce. Up here I have 1 jar of spaghetti sauce left. I've got to make some more. And then this is just some canned chili. And I only have 1 jar of salsa left, so I got to get some more salsa made. And these are some pickled peppers from the garden. These are some different jellies. We have some pepper jelly. Oh, this is all my peppers up here on the top. So I have my canned, my pickled peppers. I have some brine from making cowboy candy to turn into pepper jelly. These are pepper jelly. And this is a hot sauce. And then this is a smoky hot sauce. And then here we have grape jelly. This is some peach jelly. This is some strawberry jelly. This is a mixture of blueberry and strawberry. I was making the blueberry the same night I was making the strawberry, and I had some left over, and I just poured it in a jar together. And then this is cranberry sauce. Somewhere I had some clover jelly. Oh, this is the clover jelly. It's a little thin, but they say the nickname is like a vegan honey. I went and harvested a bunch of clover flowers from our yard and made a jelly out of it. And then down here I have some chicken stock. I have some dried beans from the garden, and I have freeze-dried corn. And then down here is just some hot chocolate powder. And then I canned sweet potatoes and white potatoes with you guys. And this was my attempt at canning meats. I have not opened these yet. My husband's kind of worried because there is a lot of airspace left in the jar after the meat cooked. So I haven't opened them and tried them yet, and I'll see if they're going to be any good. But I'm going to turn around and I'm going to show you my one little shelf I had for canning, and it's now full of empty jars for us to fill together. So I have this one little antique shelf here that I had all my jars in, all my canning equipment. And so that's all my canning. So I use a water bath canner, and I also use a pressure canner, and I will leave links in the description box of the equipment I use. There's no extra charge for you if you use that link to go and purchase something. I think all my links are from Amazon. It just helps me out if you do that. And so today we're going to start off easy. I'm going to make some ham bone stock. My husband, I was telling him, and he's like, what are you making? But my friend had a ham bone from Christmas that she put in the freezer, and she's called me and she said, hey, did you want a ham bone to make beans with? I was like, well, sure. Well, I'm not making beans this week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make some ham bone stock to put on my pantry shelf so that when I am ready to make some red beans or white beans or something, I will have the broth there as if I'd had a ham bone, and it won't take up freezer space to cook my beans in. So that's what we're doing today. But I've done chicken broth with you, bone broth with you guys, and I'll leave a link up here, a little card to the video of the chicken broth I have made. But while I'm doing this canning of the ham bone broth, what I'm gonna do is tomorrow I'm making something with some whole chickens, and today I cut the backs off of those, and I'm just gonna boil some of those alongside, 2 different pots obviously, alongside my ham bone. I'll have some chicken bones, and I'll make 2 different broths today with you guys to kick off this January. I plan on doing some black beans and pinto beans. I plan on doing, I've done spaghetti sauce with tomatoes from the garden, but before I was, this garden I had this summer with all these tomatoes, I had been making my own spaghetti sauce with canned San Marzano organic tomatoes that I order off of Amazon. And so what I'm gonna do, because I only have 1 jar of spaghetti sauce left, and I'm obviously not getting tomatoes right now, I'm also gonna make some more spaghetti sauce with the canned tomatoes, and we'll do that together. And I think I might make some pickled okra. Somebody had asked me a few months ago on a video if I could make some pickled okra, so I'm gonna make that. And I'm not quite sure what else I'm gonna do, but that's kind of on my agenda for this month, to get those videos out to you guys. And so this part of the process of the broth is very easy. What I like to do is boil my bones for about 24 hours with a little apple cider vinegar in there, and that pulls all the nutrients and the collagen out of the bones to make it very healthy for you to use this bone broth. So it takes, we put the bones in the pot, cover it with water, simmer it on low. You don't bring it to a rolling boil or anything. You simmer it on low with apple cider vinegar for about 24 hours. You can go longer than that. I don't have time to go longer than that, so we'll do about 24 hours. And then we'll jar it up tomorrow, and we'll pressure can that. So to make it safe, because it is a low acid food, you do need to pressure can something that's like a protein, the broth, a vegetable, things like that. You would need to pressure can high acid foods like a tomato product, a salsa, a spaghetti sauce, canned tomatoes, fruit jellies, because fruit has high acid, anything like that, peppers that have a vinegar brine on them, those you can water bath can. So we're gonna be pressure canning the bone broth. So we're gonna move over to the stove. I've got 2 pots on the stove to get my bones going, and we'll just get those simmered on the stove. All right, so here's my 2 pots. This one I have the backs, the necks, and the wing tips from 2 chickens. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill this with water, and in my other pot here, I'm going to put my ham bone. And this was just a honey baked ham that my friend had from Christmas. We're just gonna put this in the pot. It still has some ham on it, which is totally fine because we're gonna pressure can this broth. So if ham falls off into the broth, totally perfect, because that'll be good in the beans. So we're gonna get these covered with water. All right, I have water in both pots. I'm gonna I have this organic apple cider vinegar I get from Costco, and I'm just gonna pour a tablespoon or so in each pot, like that. In the 24 hours, I might come and add some water a couple of times if it starts getting low, and we're just gonna let this cook and simmer. Like I said, you don't want it to come to a full rolling boil. We're just gonna simmer this for about 24 hours, and then we'll be back tomorrow and we will can this up. I do just want to add real quick that I did add some salt to my chicken. I did not add salt to the ham because hams tend to be a little salty anyway. But I did not add any onions or garlic or celery. You could totally do all that. But with the chicken broth, I don't ever know what I'm going to use it for. So I just stick with the salt. I don't even put the pepper in there right now. And so we're just gonna leave them just as they are to boil for the 24 hours, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day, and this broth has been cooking for about 30 hours. And so what we're gonna do is jar it up and then get it in our pressure canner now. I'm trying to think if there's anything I need to explain beforehand. So you need to consult the manual of your pressure canner with what you need to do. So my pressure canner, I put 3 quarts of water in the bottom of it. There's a trivet in the bottom of my canner so that the jars don't bounce on the bottom and break. So that is in there. My canner will hold 7 quarts. So I'm mixing my quarts and my pints today because there's sometimes where you don't need a whole quart of chicken stock or broth. So I want to do some pints of my broth as well as the quarts. And I guess we'll just get it jarred up. All right, I have strained my broth. This is the chicken broth. I'm doing this first from the bones. And so we're gonna ladle it into our jars with our funnel. Might help if I use my right hand. You want to be very consistent with what you have temperature-wise. My broth is warm. My jars, I took out of the dishwasher a little while ago, so they're warm. And I have my canner heating on the stove top, so it's warming up also. So this is just the chicken broth. There's no meat in here. And according to my manual, let me look at my times real quick. Again, I'm consulting my manual for stock. It is 11 pounds of pressure at my altitude, and for 20 minutes for pints and 25 minutes for quarts. And because I'm having a mixture of pints and quarts, I will use my quart time. So I'll can this for 25 minutes. What I'm gonna do so I can get all this done in one go, I'm gonna freeze what chicken broth I don't get in these jars. I'm gonna leave 1-inch headspace in here. And to freeze, I get these deli containers on Amazon. These are 1.5 pints. And I'm gonna put my broth in here to freeze. It's always good to have your food products stored in different ways. I have some broth that I freeze dried and made into like a bouillon powder. I'll have broth in my freezer and on my shelf. And of course I'm gonna leave plenty of space for this because it's gonna expand when it freezes. I have a little bit more in this pot. So I'm going to pour that in here. And these bones, I will give those to my chickens. Now, if you were to put onions or onion skins in here, or celery or carrots, it would change the color of this. But this is just chicken with a little bit of salt. All right, again, I'm gonna leave a little bit of space there at the top. It's always good to have chicken broth on hand for a pasta sauce or a soup, anything like that. I like to have plenty of it ready to go. And sometimes you need it instant from the shelf, and sometimes you can think ahead of time and plan ahead and pull some from the freezer. This one's a quart size. I'm gonna use my little funnel and see if I can pour it in. Hopefully I don't make a mess. And I did. All right. So I'm gonna lid these, and these will be marked and then go in the freezer. I'm just gonna move them out of the way for now. For my jars, I have some vinegar here. I'm gonna dip my paper towel in the vinegar, and we are gonna wipe the rims of the jars so that we can make sure that the lids will seal properly. I'm gonna use new canning lids. These are 4 Jars brand lids. Jessica at Three Rivers Homestead has a discount code for these. And get them apart. There we go. And we'll put our ring on fingertip tight. And I'm gonna move these over to my canner while I get my ham broth. All right, so here's our ham broth, and we will fill our quart jars now with this one. This one's a darker, richer color. And like I said, this will be good to use when you make red beans or white beans, or a potato soup would be good with this. Anything that you would put a ham or sausage in, this would be perfect for. And this I'm gonna put in the quarts because anytime I'm making beans or a soup or whatever, I'm gonna need more than a quart of broth. But if you're making like a pasta sauce or something, you wouldn't need a whole quart. All right, again, we're gonna leave a 1-inch headspace. And this broth is a little greasier, so we really need to make sure we wipe our rims really well. All right, so I'm gonna pour the rest of this broth through the strainer. And hopefully we don't make a mess. I'd already pulled the ham bone out and put that in the other pot with the chicken bones to give to my chickens. All right, blast this ladled up. So this looks like we'll get 4 quarts of the ham broth, which is perfect. I don't know if you can hear Rosie down there on the ground, kind of whimpering. She's smelling this, I guess, and wanting a taste. All right, that worked out perfectly. All right, again, we'll take our paper towel, dipped in our vinegar, and wipe our rims really good. These are new lids. Is that 1 or 2? There we go. Fingertip tight. All right, we'll get these over into our canner and we'll move on to our next step. All right, so I have my burner turned on high, and I'm gonna turn my pot around so you can see my pressure gauge. So what we're looking for is, first we're looking for steam to come out of this vent hole. And as soon as we start seeing steam continuously coming out, we're gonna set a timer for 10 minutes. after the 10 minutes, we can put our little jiggler on here, okay? And then we'll wait for it to get up to 11 pounds of pressure. Once we get to 11 pounds of pressure, we want to keep it there. If it goes above, that's fine. And that's, of course, for my elevation. If, depending on your elevation, it could be a different time. Again, consult your manual. So we want to keep it at least at 11 pounds of pressure. And we're going to start our timer for 25 minutes for our quarts, okay? I know we have pints and we have quarts, again, like I said, but we go with the longer time because we have the bigger vessel in there. So when we start getting the steam coming out to here, I will see if I can show you. And so we'll come back when that happens. All right, so here we have steady steam coming out of here. We're gonna set our timer for 10 minutes. And then when we get finished with those 10 minutes, we will come and put our jiggler on here and we'll wait till we get up to pressure. So our 25-minute timer went off, and I just want to show you real quick, jump back on here and show you as our pressure gauge is going down, then we're leaving our jiggler on here. When this gets down to 0, then we can take our jiggler off. And then we'll let it sit another 5-ish minutes, and then we can open up the canner. This ensures that nothing dangerous happens, and also you don't want to prematurely open it and the pressure change so drastically that you end up with what's called siphoning, where your broth will actually come out of the jar, and then you'd have like you could get, you know, product, grease, whatever you're canning in between the jar and the lid, and it could cause it to not seal properly. So you just want to make sure everything just calms down and settles down nicely before you actually take it out of the canner. So when it's time to open this up, we will come back. All right, so our canner has depressurized. So I'm gonna open it up, and when you open it, you want to open the lid away from you so any heat or steam does not come out at your face. All right. So I have my jar lifter here, and we're gonna take these out, and we are gonna put them on a towel to sit for 24 hours to acclimate. Let's see. You can hear that pinging noise. That is the seal, the lid sealing down on there. That's the sound you want to hear. All right. You can see I have a towel on my counter. You don't want to put them on the, that's a beautiful noise to a canner. You don't want to put these directly on your countertop because depending on what your countertops are made of, the heat from these is not good for them, but the cold countertop can also cause your jars to break. So there, I have 2 towels here that these will sit on, and these will sit here untouched for about 24 hours. And you're gonna wanna mark your lids and put them on your shelf. Well, you're gonna mark your lids. You're gonna take your rings off. You do not store your canning jars with your rings on. I'm gonna go grab one of my jars and show you. When they are sealed without a ring on, you can hold your jar by that lid. That's sealed. If you leave your ring on, and for whatever reason this unseals, it could possibly seal back closed if you have the ring on there, and you would never know that it had unsealed for an unknown amount of time. So you take your rings off and you seal them, you store them like this. So in 24 hours, I'll take the rings off, I'll clean my jars up, and I'll write on here what's in it and when I made it. So we got, let's see, 3, 4, 5.5, 6, 7 quarts of chicken broth and 4 quarts of the ham broth that we were able to make together. And I hope you give this a try. I hope you give canning a try, especially pressure canning. It's kind of intimidating. You think it's kind of dangerous because the canners of old, well, it's not even the canners, it was the pressure cookers that are notorious for explosions back when they were first, I guess, coming out maybe. But pressure canning is very safe. There is, I'm not even sure, I think it's that the USDA website has information about canning. There's so many canning pages on Facebook that you can join and learn all kinds of information. There's so many videos out there. Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead, like I mentioned. Becky at Acre Homestead, she does a lot of canning. Obviously, all these canning videos that you'll be able to see in this collaboration. I'm sure these ladies, and I don't even know if it's gentlemen too, but whoever's doing these canning videos, I'm sure they're gonna have other videos in their past and then the going forward of canning. So there's so much information out there on canning. I hope you give it a try, and let me know if you've canned before, what you like to can, maybe an idea of what I can can, and we look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, thanks for watching.